My name is Michael Dwyer, and I'm with Rochester Writers. Once again, Rochester Writers in the Rochester Hills Public Library have teamed up to host their annual author fair, now in its fourth year. We're hosting 20 authors in person at the library in downtown Rochester on Saturday, November 26th from 10 a.m. until 3 p.m. These short videos offer you a chance to meet each of the 20 authors. And right now, we're meeting Donald Levin. Hey, Don, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to see you. I know that I've seen you all around town at lots of author events, and I'm glad that you're going to be part of ours for the fourth annual. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm glad to be a part of it too.
Now, for folks that don't know your work, tell us about your books and you as an author.
Okay, well, I'm the author of 7 books in what I'm calling the Martin Preuss Mystery Series, which is a series of novels set in and around the metropolitan Detroit area. The latest book is not part of this series. It's called Savage City, and as luck would have it, I just happen to have a copy here. This is a standalone book set in Detroit in 1932, so it's a historical novel. And it's about 4 people whose lives intertwine during a week of labor unrest in 1932. So I've been writing really for most of my life. I'm a retired college professor over the last 20 years. And then for 20 years before that, I was actually a professional writer, writing scripts and speeches and all kinds of things for all kinds of different people. So once I retired, I decided I wanted to write full time. And in fact, that's what I'm doing now.
Well, I'm glad that you are continuing writing, and now that you are getting to do it for your own purposes, your own fun, right?
Yeah, that really makes a difference. For most of my writing career, I wrote for other people and wrote articles under their name and op-ed pieces under their name and speeches for them. So it's really a joy to be writing for myself.
And I imagine that it really is something different. It's not just joyful, but it's got to give a different sort of creative outlet for you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I hear a lot of people who say they don't like to write, or it's hard for them, or the old thing is you sit at a typewriter and bleed all over it. But honestly, I love to write. I love the act of writing. I love the neuromuscular act of putting words on paper or electrons on the screen, as the case may be. So I love it, and it really is something that I'm happy to be able to do.
Now, why are your books all set in Detroit? It's the beat that I'm sure. But is there a story that is in Detroit that you capitalize on? Is there something you want to tell people through your stories about Detroit?
Well, certainly with the latest book, Savage City, there is. And even with the mysteries, when I read books that are set in Detroit, I often find that except for the names of the streets and the names of the places, they could really be set anywhere. They could be in Toledo, they could be in Minnesota. So I want to do works that are recognizably Detroit-based works. And Savage City couldn't have taken place anywhere else because it's about a specific labor-related event that happened in March 1932. So there's no way this could have taken place anyplace else. And I'm working on a new book now that's sort of a sequel to this that also takes place in Detroit in 1941, but it also brings in events that could only have happened in Detroit. So I think this city has an enormously interesting history, and I like to be able to probe it. And I like especially to be able to bring out elements of that history that people might not be aware of. For example, in Savage City, one of the characters is a member of the Black Legion, which is an actual white supremacist organization that was active in Detroit in the 30s. And many people have never heard of that. I mean, I had never heard of that myself until I was a professor, and one of my colleagues who is a history professor started to talk about it. I had never heard of it. So I think a lot of people who read these books and especially the new book, are finding elements of Detroit and Detroit history that they never knew existed. And I'm happy to be able to bring that to them.
Well, I'm glad you are, because Detroit, as everyone is aware, has had a huge rebound in recent years. After many decades of us trying, it finally has this rebound. It has a new life, a new energy, and it's nice to be able to revisit that, even though some of these stories are difficult to maybe tell and read about. It is a part of history and gives us that flavor of Detroit, and tells us how we got to where we are.
That's right, exactly. They made us what we are today.
Donald Levin, thank you so much for joining us today as we prepare for the big author fair on November 26th. We'll see you there with all 7 of your books, I imagine. You'll be ready to tell stories and sign copies for the holiday shoppers. How would you like to leave it with everyone?
I'm looking forward to seeing everyone, and I'll have all my books and all my pens ready to sign. So hope to see you there.
Thank you very much, Donald Levin.
Thank you.